On the third day after marrying Derek, he was invited to participate in a surgical operation abroad. I did my duty as a wife conscientiously, helping to safeguard the industries of the Derek family. One late night, I received an intimate and affectionate video of Derek and his adopted sister. Before the Derek family could give me an explanation, the video went viral on the internet. The adopted sister was cyberbullied, her self-esteem was humiliated, and she couldn't bear it and jumped off a building to commit suicide. Derek was convinced that I was the one who leaked the video and went all out to target the industries of the Gideon family. In the end, the Gideon family went bankrupt. My elder brother was sent to prison by Derek, my father was so angry that he died, and my unborn child was forcibly taken out of my womb before it was due. Without even taking a look at the child, I was dragged by Derek and jumped down from the building of the Gideon family's company. He stared at me resentfully, telling me to go to hell to make amends to his adopted sister. When I opened my eyes again, both Derek and I were reborn. Please, the bride and groom, exchange the kiss of vows. The voice of the MC brought my thoughts back. Looking down and seeing that I was wearing a pure white wedding dress instead of a blood-stained surgical gown, my heart trembled violently. I was reborn, back to the day when I married Derek. I subconsciously wanted to break off the engagement, but Derek spoke first. I want to break off the engagement with Alyssa. The wedding scene, which was still filled with laughter and celebration just a second ago, suddenly became extremely quiet. Derek was furious, staring at me with hateful and angry eyes, exuding a strong murderous aura. He took off the ring and threw it hard on the ground, then turned around and walked off the stage. I knew that Derek was also reborn. Downstairs, my father stood up angrily and reprimanded, "Derek, are you going to break off the engagement?" My eldest brother clenched his fists and rushed forward, wanting to hit someone, but was stopped by the security guards. "You want to break off the engagement with my sister? Have you forgotten how you pursued her in the first place?" I stood on the stage, watching the chaotic farce, and tears uncontrollably welled up in my eyes. It wasn't because I was abandoned by Derek, but because I saw my father and eldest brother who loved me dearly. They were both alive. My father wasn't angered to death by him, and my eldest brother wasn't thrown into prison either. Under the shocked and puzzled gazes of the guests, Derek walked straight out. He didn't stop until his parents blocked his way. "Derek, what are you doing? Go back and apologize to the Gideon family and Alyssa, finish the wedding, and we'll talk about it when we get back." Derek's father was furious and forced Derek to turn back and continue the wedding. He shook off his father's hand, his eyes firm. "Dad, Mom, I have someone I like. I don't love Alyssa." Derek's mother couldn't believe it and covered her mouth, saying, "Son, what are you talking about? It was you who proposed to Alyssa and wanted to be with her for a lifetime." Indeed, it was Derek who took the initiative to propose to me back then. At my 18th birthday party, I saw Derek for the first time. He was dressed in a black suit, standing tall and straight, with a handsome appearance. His hair was neatly combed, and his aloof and proud temperament made him stand out from those around him. I noticed him at first sight. There seemed to be a magic about him that attracted me to get closer and involuntarily made me want to get to know him. The closer I got to him, the more violently my heart and my chest beat. I had never been so attracted to a man before. He was the first. As the protagonist of the birthday party, due to my pride and status, I was too embarrassed to take the initiative to invite him to dance. I only dared to stand nearby and try to attract his attention. Unexpectedly, he really noticed me and took the initiative to invite me to dance. After that night, Derek launched a passionate pursuit of me. I posted on my WeChat moments that I wanted to see fireworks, and Derek set off fireworks all over the city for me, making countless people envious. Derek took me on trips to see novel natural landscapes and gave me gifts he designed and made himself. He even gave me the ancestral ring of the Derek family without his parents' knowledge. There was a clear and deep sapphire ring lying in a velvet box. He said it was a family heirloom left by the Derek family for their daughter-in-law. Compared to this ancestral ring, what made me even more attracted was Derek, who sincerely proposed to me on one knee. Later, he caused the ruin of my family. He used a scalpel to cut open my belly to take out the child, dragged me to the rooftop of the bankrupt Gideon family group, and jumped down with me in his arms. He stared at me with his blood-red eyes, cursing me to fall into hell to be buried with his adopted sister Mira. If it weren't for what happened in my previous life, I wouldn't have known that the person he loved wasn't me. Mom, Dad. Even if you disown me, I still want to break off the engagement with Alyssa. Derek raised his voice, and his resolute attitude brought my thoughts back. He ignored his parents, who were red with anger, and resolutely left the wedding scene. The guests were whispering among themselves, not understanding why Derek's mood had changed so drastically and why he was determined to break off the engagement and leave. Someone whispered, "Surely the daughter of the Gideon family must have done something to wrong the Derek family. How could a man stand for that?" The snickers of those watching the drama came one after another. My father was so angry that he was about to go forward to argue. I stood in front of my father and stopped him. I agree to break off the engagement with Derek. At the same time, the contracts of cooperation between the two families should be sorted out as clearly as possible. For projects that cannot be given up, equivalent funds should be exchanged, and there will be no further cooperation between the two families. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone looked at me in surprise. My eldest brother Gideon thought I was so angry about Derek breaking off the engagement that I was talking nonsense. He held my hand tightly. "Don't say things in anger, Alyssa." "Brother, I'm not talking in anger. I don't love Derek. I don't want to marry him." There was a calm and resolute smile on my face. Since I was a child, once I had made up my mind about something, it was impossible to change it. My father and eldest brother knew this well. They stepped back behind me and silently supported my decision. I swept the guests on the scene with a sharp and cold gaze and lowered my voice to warn, "I, Alyssa, have never done anything to wrong Derek or the Derek family. If anyone spreads rumors or slurs me again, I'll see you in court." The people who were watching the drama realized that I wasn't joking and quickly put away their smiles and dared not discuss any more. Derek's mother was so embarrassed that her face turned red, and she was rubbing his hands together uneasily. Derek's father, for the sake of the Derek family's face, forced an ugly smile and tried to get closer to the Gideon family. "Alyssa, it's Derek who did wrong this time. He's not lucky enough to marry you. The two families are not only business partners but also good friends. Why should we be so clear about things? My wife and I both like you very much. We hope you can be our adopted daughter." I smiled and declined Derek's father's kindness. I took off the sapphire ring on my finger and handed it to him. "Uncle, thank you and Auntie for your love, but the love from my parents and eldest brother is enough for me." After that, I left with my father and eldest brother. The news of my being jilted quickly spread throughout the circle, and I became the focus of ridicule. Everyone was cautiously, not daring to mention the Derek family, worried that I would be bothered by the insulting and mocking messages. My father and eldest brother were indignant on my behalf at home. My adopted sister Mira chimed in, "Sister, don't be sad. It's not your fault that you were jilted. Derek is young and proud. It's normal that he doesn't want to lose his freedom for you." I tilted my head to look at Mira, and there was a look of proud and laugh in her eyes. Mira was the daughter of our family's driver. When she was 12 years old, the rival of the Gideon family designed a car accident. The driver promptly turned the car around to protect my father in the back seat, but he was seriously injured and died. To repay the driver's life-saving grace, my father adopted Mira. My father treated her as his own daughter, gave her the best education and resources, and cultivated her into a rich young lady. I ignored Myra's provocation and turned to look at my father. "Dad, I want to enter the company to learn about the business." My father put down his coffee cup, looking both surprised and pleasantly surprised, and nodded repeatedly in agreement. "Good. You're finally coming to help me. In my previous life, the company was destroyed and went bankrupt by Derek. I learned my lesson and told my father in advance about the points that were prone to problems. By the way, Dad, recently, the company's projects should be carefully audited, and the company's accounts should also be reconfirmed. There should be no negligence. I came to the company to familiarize myself with the business. When I got off work, I saw luxury cars and flowers downstairs, and several words were spelled out on the ground with flower petals. Mira, marry me. Derek was standing tall and straight in a white suit, holding a bouquet of pink roses in his hands, leaning against the luxury car and waiting. Seeing Mira, he showed a happy and gentle smile, took a step towards her, and knelt down on one knee in front of her. He held up the bouquet, and a shiny diamond ring was revealed in the center of the bouquet. Mira stood there in surprise, covering her mouth, her face flushed with excitement, and there were glittering tears in the corners of her eyes. Mira, I can't deceive my heart. The person I truly love is you. I hope you can promise, and I'm willing to take care of you for the rest of my life and will never let you be hurt in the slightest. Derek was not only proposing marriage but also blaming himself for not being able to save Mira in his previous life. The air was filled with the scent of romance and happiness. The two of them were like the prince and princess in a fairy tale. Passers-by looked at them enviously, and some even took pictures and videos. Someone in the company recognized their identities and whispered, "Isn't that Derek and the second young lady?" Derek broke off his engagement with the eldest young lady and is with the second young lady now. Derek loves the second young lady, that's for sure. The whispers reached my ears. I had already seen Derek's disgusting true face clearly. Calming my mind, I was ready to leave. Mira didn't respond for a long time. Her eyes fell on me, and she called out to me, "Sister, what will I do if you leave?" She took my arm and said guiltily, "After all, Derek and sister had an engagement before. I don't dare to take sister's man." With just one sentence, she pushed me to the forefront of the storm, and the people around were watching the drama. Before, I was blind and was bewitched by Alyssa to promise to marry her. What she did made me sick. She is the most vicious woman I've ever seen. Derek's eyes were bloodshot as he clenched the flowers in his hand viciously. Mira, she hates that you have my love. She'll find a way to get revenge on you. You must stay away from her. Mira tilted her head in confusion, looking back and forth between us. The people around were whispering among themselves, thinking that I would be consumed by hatred due to unrequited love and take revenge on my former fiancé and adopted sister. Gideon came to pick me up from work and happened to hear Derek insulting me. He rushed forward angrily and kicked out. "Shut up! Don't you dare insult my sister." I quickly stopped him. "Brother! Don't fight." My eldest brother thought I was going to protect the scumbag and was just about to persuade me, but I raised my hand and slapped Derek hard across the face. "I'll take revenge for this myself." He was knocked to one side, and the flowers fell to the ground, scattering everywhere, with the diamond ring rolling on the floor. "Derek, I don't love you. I've never done anything to wrong you. Saying that I'm disgusting and vicious without any evidence is slander. You'll be sued. Dare you say it has nothing to do with you?" Derek gritted his teeth and shut his mouth, swallowing back what had happened in the previous life and changing the topic. "Mira is your sister. For the sake of your reputation, you'll definitely try to interfere and won't let your father marry her to me." I looked down at the man propping himself up on the ground with contempt. "Who you like has nothing to do with me." After saying that, I took my eldest brother's hand and left. In the car, I remained silent, looking quietly out of the window. My eldest brother thought I was sad and comforted me. "Derek is just a scumbag. Brother will find a better man for you." I shook my head to decline his kindness. For me, protecting my father and eldest brother who love me is the most important thing. A man like Derek, who only has eyes for love affairs, is really pathetic. 2 days later, Derek came to our house in person to ask for Myra's hand in marriage. Father crossed his arms, glaring coldly at the two sitting opposite him. "Derek, how dare you show your face in our house again?" Father wasn't a rigid person, but he couldn't accept Derek coming to propose marriage twice, asking for the hands of two daughters respectively. Alyssa's father, the person I truly love, is Mira. Before, I was blind and pursued Alyssa without realizing my true feelings. It was my mistake, but I hope you can grant Mira and me your blessing. Derek was neither humble nor overbearing, tightly holding Myra's hand. Mira grasped Derek's broad palm in return, her eyes resolute. "Father, you've always raised me as your own daughter. Now that I've met the man I want to spend my life with, I hope you can give us your blessing." Both of them were firm and determined, having set their hearts on each other. Father said helplessly, "Mira, once you marry into the Derek family, you'll have nothing to do with our family. Have you thought it through?" "Father, thank you for giving us your blessing." Mira stood up and bowed deeply, then went back to her room to pack her things. My adopted sister's room was next to mine. Before leaving, the two of them knocked on my door to say goodbye. "Sister, even if I marry into the Derek family, you'll still be my sister. I'll come back to visit you all." Mira was holding Derek's arm, her delicate body leaning against his, looking affectionate and intimate. The Derek family was more powerful than the Gideon family. For an adopted daughter of the Gideon family to marry into the Derek family was like reaching for the sky. It's a pity that Mira could never become a phoenix. She was just a sparrow. "Alyssa, don't be inferior. It's not that you're not good enough, but I love Mira more." Derek lowered his head and kissed Mira on the forehead, his eyes full of tenderness. "Because she is my salvation." Their affectionate appearance made me sick. I called for the maid, Aunt Zhang. "Aunt Zhang, take all their things out. Don't keep things that don't belong to the Derek family here taking up space. Renovate the room next door to get rid of the bad luck." Aunt Zhang immediately agreed and arranged for people to throw the things out. Derek and Mira were also driven out. I devoted myself wholeheartedly to the company and developing the business. I wanted to make the Gideon family more powerful than the Derek family, so powerful that the Derek family could do nothing to us, the Gideon family. However, just 2 months later, something happened to Derek's mother. She had a sudden cerebral hemorrhage and was rushed to the emergency room. She was barely saved after a desperate rescue, but she was paralyzed on one side and needed 24-hour care. In the previous life, Derek's mother couldn't bear the blow and wanted to give up her life. I took care of her personally. Afraid that she would do something stupid, I stayed awake for 24 hours, watching her, helping her with rehabilitation exercises, and accompanying her to relax. Just when Derek's mother's condition had slightly improved, Mira jumped off the building, and I was thrown downstairs by Derek. In this life, just 1 week after Derek's mother was hospitalized and rescued, she suddenly became seriously ill and was on the verge of death. On her deathbed, she said she wanted to see me one more time. After thinking it over and over again, I still couldn't let go of the feelings from the previous life and came to the hospital to see Derek's mother for the last time. She was pale, lying on the bed, gasping for breath intermittently. Seeing me, her dull eyes lit up, and she moved her lips as if she had something to say to me. I took her hand with the 4-needle in it with heartache. My heart ached, and tears unconsciously welled up in my eyes. I subconsciously called out, "Mom, I'm here." Derek's mother was stunned, and a turbid tear rolled down from her eye. She seemed to be using the last bit of her strength in life, clenching my hand tighter and tighter, squeezing my bones until they hurt. "Good girl, I'm so happy that you could come to see me. I've always regarded you as my daughter. Could you be my adopted daughter? I'll give you half of the shares in my name. It's what you deserve." Derek's mother was panting heavily, looking at me with love and reluctance. At that moment, the door of the ward was pushed open. Mira, who had been eavesdropping outside, couldn't suppress her anger and rushed in. "Mom, I'm your daughter-in-law. She's just an outsider. How could you give her the shares?" Mira rushed to the bedside and pushed me away hard, standing between me and Derek's mother. "You shameless woman, calling my mother-in-law, Mom. Who do you think you are?" She glared at me with round eyes, looking down on me. "You're jealous of me because I married into the Derek family. Now you're cheating my mother-in-law out of her money. Do you have any conscience, Mira?" Derek's mother propped herself up, trying hard to touch Myra's arm with her hand to make her shut up. "Auntie is weak. I don't want to argue with you. We'll talk about it later." I gave Mira a cold glare, telling her to shut up. But she became even more unruly and started making a scene, pointing at the two of us. You all treat me like an outsider and bully me. The old hag also looks down on me. Derek's mother moved her lips, but before she could say anything, she took a breath and passed away. The monitor let out a sharp beeping sound, and Mira was scared into silence. The electrocardiogram on the screen turned into a straight line. I quickly pressed the call bell. Mira retreated to one side, muttering to herself, "It's not me, it's not me." Outside the door, Derek and Derek's father were waiting anxiously. The doctors were rescuing, and Mira rushed into Derek's arms in fear, pointing at me. "Brother Derek, Alyssa made Mom die of anger." Derek's eyes were red, and he lost his reason and roared, "I knew you'd been pestering Mom with ill intentions. You've finally shown your true colors. You killed my mom. I'll make you pay with your life." Mira wanted me to pay with my life when she died, and Derek's mother's death also made Derek want me to pay with my life. I dodged the slap that Derek swung at me and slapped him back hard across the face. "You hit me again?" Derek had never suffered such humiliation since he was a child. He raised his hand to hit me again. I took out a recording pen and handed it to Derek's father. "Uncle, the whole process has been recorded. Listen to it slowly." After doing all this, I turned around and left. Behind me, Myra's arrogant and domineering voice echoed in the corridor. She was fighting for the shares, cursing Derek's mother, and every word was clearly recorded. Myra's face was pale as she shook her head to deny it. "It's not me. I didn't say that. She's slandering me." Derek's father was so angry that he wanted to drive Mira out of the Derek family. Derek was unwilling to break off the engagement, and as a result, he was also driven out of the house by his father. Because of excessive stress, Derek had an argument with a patient's family in the hospital and was suspended from work. Meanwhile, I worked hard and had already secured the position of a junior vice president in the company. Derek's father transferred half of his wife's shares to my name. He regarded me as his adopted daughter and even prepared a room for me in the Derek family. Mira stormed into the company to question me. "Alyssa, what do I have to do to make you leave me alone?" I flipped through the documents in my hand, too lazy to look at her. Mira was driven out of the Derek family along with Derek and also cut off all relations with the Gideon family. She's living a decent life now, but who knows about the future? In the Gideon family, you always have to compete with me for everything. You were born with a better background and always tried to outdo me. I've always lived in your shadow. I'm just your inferior copy." Mira kept questioning angrily, venting her resentment. I looked up with a cold laugh and said with disdain, "You're really ungrateful. Over the years, the Gideon family has cultivated you like a young lady, giving you the best resources and education. What more do you want?" Just then, the secretary knocked on the door and came in to remind me to attend a business dinner. Mira was still making a fuss until the security guards dragged her out and threw her outside the company. Laughter and mocking voices came from the private dining room of the restaurant, as expected of Derek, young and ambitious. Instead of being a surgeon, he wants to start his own company. I heard that surgeons have steady hands. If you can drink this glass of liquor without spilling a drop, I'll agree to cooperate. In the private room, Derek was smiling obsequiously at the investors. A full glass of white liquor was poured in front of him. It would spill over with just a light touch, and it was difficult even to pick it up, let alone bring it to his lips. Derek was a nationally renowned surgeon who had successfully completed many difficult surgeries. At this moment, he was dressed in a suit. Without the white coat, his formerly arrogant appearance was replaced by a humble one. After being driven out of the Derek family, Derek was living a miserable life. "Arlo, it's a deal then." Derek steadily picked up the glass and brought it to his lips. The liquor swayed but not a single drop spilled out. Arlo deliberately raised his hand and bumped into Derek's arm, knocking the glass over. The liquor slowly flowed down Derek's chiseled chin, wetting his clothes and making him look extremely embarrassed. "I'm really sorry, Derek. My hand slipped." Arlo burst into laughter, and the others joined in the jeering, "Just pour another glass. Derek, show us again." Derek stood awkwardly beside the round table. He was just a clown being mocked by everyone, teased for their amusement, not really intended to cooperate with him. He stubbornly grabbed the glass, ready to drink again. Glancing out of the corner of his eye and seeing me standing outside the private room, Derek's eyes became nervous. His nervous hand shook, and half of the liquor spilled. Arlo took the opportunity to mock Derek. If a doctor can't even hold a glass steady, how can he hold a scalpel? Derek slammed the glass heavily on the table, cutting his palm and causing bright red blood to flow out. Arlo, be careful of meeting a doctor with shaky hands who might cut in the wrong place. Derek's eyes were bloodshot, and he exuded a strong murderous aura, looking exactly the same as when he killed me. People who have killed others emit a terrifying aura that makes those around them break out in a cold sweat. He left, and I walked into the private room to secure the cooperation on the new project with Arlo's company. Outside the restaurant, Derek grabbed me and dragged me to the shade of a tree. He was leaning to one side, his cheeks flushed red, and a strong stench of liquor hit my nose when he opened his mouth. Alyssa, why didn't you stop me when I broke off the engagement? Have you already fallen in love with someone else? I turned my head away in disgust, covering my nose and mouth. You said you didn't love me, and I won't pester you either. Derek was persistent. He grasped my chin with his hand, which was warm and sticky. He hadn't treated the wound, and the blood smeared half of my face. The smell of blood mixed with the stench of liquor was so unpleasant that it made me want to vomit. Let me go. I pushed against Derek's chest with my hand, trying to push him away. Suddenly, Derek hugged me. He muttered to himself in a low voice, "Why didn't you ask me to stay? If you had, Alyssa." Mira rushed over angrily, forcibly separating us and helping the drunk Derek. "You're so insatiable. You even seduce your sister's man. You shameless mistress." I wiped the blood off my face in disgust, looking at Mira with nausea. "He's a man I don't want. He's just trash, but you treat him like a treasure." Derek's expression was one of suppressed emotion, his eyes fixed on me. Mira gritted her teeth in anger and shouted to prove herself, "You were the one who was jilted. Derek loves me." In the previous life, Derek was head over heels in love with Mira. In this life, let the two of them be together and stop causing trouble for others. Derek pushed Mira, who was clinging to him, away, looking a bit impatient. "I told you to stay at home and not follow me. Derek brother, I'm really worried about you. You did something stupid before, and it was I who saved you. I'm scared. I don't want to lose you." 5 years ago, Derek failed a surgery. He was deeply consumed by self-blame and couldn't pick up a scalpel for a while. He wanted to atone with his life. As a result, his hand shook and he cut the wound crookedly. Mira happened to find him and called an ambulance, saving his life. In the hospital, I stayed by Derek's side, watching over him day and night, helping him to untie the knot in his heart. Fortunately, the wound didn't damage the tendons and blood vessels. After recovering, Derek could still perform surgeries. But Mira never showed up. So it was at this time that Derek fell in love with her. I curled my lips in self-mockery. So my company was not as good as a single phone call. Mira looked at Derek's wrist, where there was an ugly, winding scar. Now it was smeared with blood, looking even more terrifying. "How did your hand get injured? Was it her doing?" She pointed at me, and I frowned irritably. Making me take the blame again. How disgusting. Staying near them for one more second made me afraid that I would vomit. I turned around and got into the car and left. In half a year, I successfully secured several major projects. At the celebration dinner, at the same time as in the previous life, I received the video again. My fingertips trembled as I clicked on the video. The content was exactly the same as in the previous life. The light was dim, and 2 figures were entwined on the bed. The woman was Mira, but the man beside her was not Derek, but another man named Jeremy. Jeremy was a mixed race. He had an exotic charm, a handsome face with distinct features, deep and gentle eyes, and always wore a sunny and cheerful smile. There were never a shortage of women around him, and Mira was one of them. In the previous life, I deleted the video after receiving it and didn't tell anyone. As a result, the video was still uploaded to the internet, and Mira was cyberbullied. She couldn't bear the insults and committed suicide. She wasn't that fragile to give up her life just because of being scolded by strangers. Knowing this, I used all my connections to investigate the truth. As a result, Derek said that I was the one who killed her and launched a ruthless revenge against me and the Gideon family. The company underwent huge changes. My father had a heart attack and was hospitalized. My brother was thrown into prison just after taking over the company. Derek acquired the company and told my father what he had done, which made my father die of anger. And I was cut open to have my baby taken out, and Derek held me and jumped off the building. Now that things were repeating, I decided to take the initiative. I contacted an online editor and sent the video to him. Now the Gideon family was powerful, and no one dared to act against us. The video quickly spread, and the Derek family lost all face. Derek was driven out of the Derek family. In order to let Mira live the same life as before, he put aside his dignity, only to become a joke in everyone's eyes. Mira. Derek rushed into the room and dragged Mira, who was hiding under the quilt, out. Haven't I been good to you? You're having an affair outside. Mira had never seen such a terrifying Derek. She was so scared that she cried and begged for mercy repeatedly. Let me explain. The videos are all fake. It's Alyssa who is slandering me. I definitely haven't done anything to wrong you. But Derek didn't believe anything she said. Before I married you, you were having affairs outside. After I promised to marry you, you're still having affairs outside, and with the same man. Derek grabbed Myra's hair and forcibly dragged her up from the ground. You're a slut. You're born to like having affairs outside. I was really blind to think that I wasn't good enough to you. No, immutable. The person I love is you. Mira was crying. She thought Derek was crazy and started talking nonsense. These things are all slandered by Alyssa. You have to believe me. Get lost. Derek kicked Mira hard in the stomach, ignoring her begging on her knees, and turned around and left. After breaking off the engagement with Mira, Derek was forgiven by his father and returned to the Derek family. This incident spread throughout the upper-class circle and became the gossip topic of the ladies' tea parties. Many people asked me what I thought of them, and I just smiled and didn't say anything. On my way home from work, Derek suddenly rushed out and stopped my car. Subconsciously, I thought he was like in the previous life, coming to me because of the video, threatening me and the Gideon family, wanting us to pay for Myra's life. As a result, he rushed to the side of the car and knocked on the window, looking haggard and apologizing. Alyssa, I'm sorry. I want to talk to you. I know clearly that the person I love is you. Let's get back together, okay? We'll get married, and I'll only love you. I sneered and started the car without looking at him and left. Where's that dog barking? So annoying. Derek thought I was still angry and kept running after the car, apologizing continuously. It wasn't until I accelerated and knocked him down, making him fall, that he finally came to his senses. I had already seen clearly the true nature of Derek as a scumbag. He was a madman with no true love. Everything was just self-indulgence. Derek didn't go home. He rushed to the bar where Jeremy was drinking and pulled him up from the chair and beat him up badly. The two fought fiercely, with blood on their heads. The video was uploaded to the internet. Netizens said that the two men were fighting over Mira out of jealousy, calling her a slut. Someone revealed that she had seduced Derek, snatched her sister's fiancé, and she was the mistress. Gideon happily showed me the comments on the video. Sister, Mira has messed things up for herself and it's been exposed that she has another man. Looking at the pictures of the men, Gideon clicked his tongue in puzzlement. She was such a good girl under our noses. How could she have so many men? I scrolled through the online content. There was no pity or heartache like in the previous life, but more of a sense of satisfaction. Things were progressing the same as in the previous life, but who exposed the news? I don't know either. I perfunctorily said a few words to my elder brother and then sent a message to a private detective, asking him to help investigate this matter. Mira found Derek to admit her mistakes and apologize, hoping to return to the Derek family. Derek drove her out of the house, bluntly stating that the Derek family didn't want a daughter-in-law with a dissolute lifestyle. She then returned to the Gideon family, begging us for forgiveness and wanting to continue being Father's daughter. Father stood at the door, looking at her from a distance. I raised you and educated you as if you were my own daughter, but you did such shameful things that brought disgrace to our family. Mira knelt on the ground, kowtowing to admit her mistakes, and blood flowed from her head. She knew that being abandoned by both the Derek family and the Gideon family, she had nowhere to stand. After living a pampered life for 10 years, she had long forgotten what an ordinary life was like and couldn't even survive on her own. Father waved his hand and asked the security guards to drag her out. I only have one daughter, and that's my Alyssa. When you left the Gideon family, you were no longer my daughter. Gideon put his arm around my shoulders and said with a mischievous smile, I also only have you as my sister. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up for you. My eyes became hot, and happy tears flowed down. In this new life, Father and my elder brother were still so kind to me. I patted my chest and said to my elder brother, don't worry. This time, I'll hold it up with you. In this life, Mira still committed suicide. Unlike in the previous life when it was unnoticed, this time she started a live broadcast. She was crying in the live broadcast, telling her tragic story, hoping to get everyone's sympathy. However, all the comments flying by in the live chat were scolding her, and not a single person was on her side. You don't know the truth at all. After being adopted by the Gideon family, I was ostracized by Alyssa. Derek liked me, but she wanted to snatch him away too. I'm not a mistress. Derek loved me, so he broke off the engagement with Alyssa. But she continued to seduce Derek, fabricated false news to slander me, and ruined my life. Mira exposed a photo of me and Derek hugging each other intimately. It was the photo of Derek hugging me after being insulted outside the restaurant. Mira secretly took it as evidence. Alyssa, I hate you. After leaving these words, she got up slowly and walked towards the edge of the building, and then jumped off. The live broadcast room exploded, and the comments scrolled crazily. Soon, the live broadcast room was shut down, but the final live broadcast video of Mira was spreading like wildfire. People on the internet were all scolding me, believing that I had driven Mira to her death. I held a press conference and answered questions live to prove my innocence. Derek broke off the engagement at the wedding, and the next day he proposed to Mira. She agreed and severed all relations with the Gideon family to marry into the Derek family. She slandered me as a mistress, saying that I had snatched her man and spread rumors and slandered me. In fact, it was Mira who did all these things. She used her death as a weapon and used you to condemn me. Just because a person says a few words before dying doesn't mean they are the truth. The reason why she chose to jump off the building is unknown, but it wasn't me who forced her to do it. After my statement, some people on the internet began to question Myra's words. Soon after, Derek also came forward to explain and prove that everything I said was true. He admitted that he was a scumbag, that he had been indecisive between me and Mira, and now he recognized that the person he truly loved was me. At the same time, he presented evidence, the truth that Mira was forced to jump off the building by Jeremy. The video of Jeremy and her was spreading like wildfire on the internet, and Jeremy's reputation was affected. He threatened Mira to delete the video, or he would kill her if she couldn't. Mira was afraid and sought protection from the Derek family and the Gideon family, but was ruthlessly rejected. Afraid that Jeremy would come after her, Mira was so scared that she jumped off the building. Before dying, she dragged me down with her, slandered me in the live broadcast, and shifted the blame onto me. The truth of the matter came to light, and Jeremy's actions were exposed. I also received the investigation results from the private detective. The private video was sent to me by Myra's ex-boyfriend. After Mira accepted Derek's proposal, she kicked her ex-boyfriend away. Out of hatred because of unrequited love, he hacked into the hotel's surveillance system to steal the video and sent it to me. He didn't expect that I would directly post the video online, and he was hiding in fear. I asked my lawyer to help contact him and offered him two choices. 1. Hand the evidence to the police. 2. Work for me with good treatment, and I won't pursue this matter anymore. Without hesitation, he chose the second option. With a skilled hacker working for me, if anyone wants to take action against the Gideon family, I can know in advance. Father held a funeral for Mira and buried her beside her biological father's grave. With this matter coming to an end, the Gideon family's business was thriving and soon became the top in the industry. The public exposure of Jeremy's matter, although the evidence couldn't directly prove that he had forced Mira to her death, still had an impact on his company. The stock of Jeremy's family company dropped, and the Derrick family took the opportunity to acquire many shares. Jeremy wasn't going to be outdone. He snatched many cooperations from the Derrick family and set traps for Derrick secretly. Derrick was a surgeon and had no experience in business matters. He was tricked into signing many problematic cooperations. The two families were locked in a fierce battle. The Derrick family was large and powerful, with Derrick's father supporting it. After a few rounds, they were slightly better than the Jeremy family. To protect the Derrick family, Derrick's father drove Derrick out of the company and asked him to continue being a doctor. Jeremy bribed the senior management to trip Derrick up and ostracize him. Taking advantage of the fierce battle between the two families, I took the opportunity to secure many cooperation projects and expand my new company. Not long after, Derrick made a mistake during a surgery due to excessive stress, nearly killing the patient. He was sued by the patient's family and was not allowed to continue performing surgeries. From then on, Derrick got drunk in bars every day, completely drunk. Without my company and care, Derrick's condition was getting worse and worse. His fingers trembled when he drank, and he couldn't even hold a glass steady, let alone a scalpel. Derrick's father thought he was a disgrace and ignored him completely. When I got off work, I saw Derrick leaning on a stone pier, his clothes in disarray. He smelled bad and had lost his former aloofness and arrogance. Now Derrick was like a beggar. Seeing me, Derrick propped himself up from the ground and staggered over to me. "Alyssa, I finally waited for you." The security guards instinctively blocked him. "Where did this drunk come from? Do you think you can just meet President Alyssa? Get lost." I waved my hand, and the security guard stepped aside knowingly. Derrick didn't come closer but just stood at a distance. He was emaciated with sunken eye sockets, only his eyes still shining. "Alyssa, ela te yo a secret." Actually, I was reborn. He looked up at the rooftop and slid his finger from top to bottom. In the previous life, the Gideon family was ruined. I was pregnant with our child. I held you and jumped off this building. But I didn't die and was reborn, so I broke off the engagement, but I regret it now. After saying that, he took a sip of wine and shook his body, smiling bitterly. I told others about this, but they didn't believe me. They said I was crazy and wanted to lock me up. Do you think I'm really crazy? Derrick hunched over, his eyes fixed on me, as if seeking an answer. A few seconds later, he burst out laughing maniacally and shouted, "I'm not crazy. That wasn't a dream. You were also reborn, and you're taking revenge on me." I watched him go crazy quietly, without answering his question. Derrick had brought this upon himself. I won't forgive the mistakes he made, nor will I give him the answer he wants. Let him stay soberly insane. Maybe one day he'll die on the street. For me, being reborn is a gift. "Alyssa, let's go home." Gideon called my name, and I turned to look at him and father, smiling and waving as I walked towards them. Now I've achieved my unfulfilled dreams, and I'll accompany and protect the important people around me.